and it just becomes a seamless operation, and you know what risk you're taking. Risk identifiers are a really important part. So I can see that Michael asked the question, M asked the question, how do macro and crypto relate? I think I've gone through that. It's the liquidity element of macro that drives crypto, along with the technology part of crypto, the Metcalfe's law element. So I think that's an important thing. Now, remember, if you want to ask questions, you have to become a subscriber to the YouTube channel. I haven't seen that number rise yet, so I'd appreciate it if you clicked the subscribe button, so then you can ask a question, and also you'll get updates from other great content that we have on this channel. Ernesto makes a point. Ernesto's a common Real Vision follower. 24% is still held in exchanges. That's crazy. It is, but not all exchanges are going to zero. I mean, people like Coinbase run really good exchanges. I'm pretty confident of places like Kraken. Now, you can't be 100% confident in anything, and so several exchanges do. So don't assume every exchange is terrible. We've seen it in financial markets. Not every bank is terrible. Not every brokerage house is terrible. But Christ, we've seen banks and brokerage houses go bust. We've seen hedge funds go bust. Not every hedge fund is terrible. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Just realize that in FTX, there was bad management and fraud, and that deserved to go under. It did not deserve to take people's money with it, and it's horrific. And as I said, I got caught out in MF Global in the futures brokers market with something like that too. Alex Humphrey, simple question, Raoul, what the fuck's going on? Through the cycles, and yet people still want to take leverage on that because they think it's not enough money. It's ludicrous, but I can't help it. It's a degen market. And I also understand that people want to do something with YOLOing because people are disadvantaged in the financial world. They can't get access to products and markets, and crypto gives them access to like early stage VC style technology investments that have exponential upside. I really understand why people get involved, but I don't see many VC people using leverage in VC because these things are fucking volatile. So just be careful out there. Anthony Shee, just self-custody. Really important. Anybody who's been around this space for a while and seen bankruptcies happen is the reason I got into crypto in the first place was because I went through the financial crisis and nobody knew who owned what in the banking system. So when Lehman went under, it was a big mess of trying to figure out who the hell owns what. Then in Europe, Cyprus, the banks went under, and in Spain we had some bank failures too. And what happened is, in Cyprus, they bailed in the depositors, which means you were just happily leaving your money on deposit in the Cyprus bank, and they take it and say, well, it's actually our money now, you don't own it. In Spain, they did something even ruder. Well, I don't know if it's even ruder, but more Machiavellian. They told savers, hey, listen, we can give you higher rates of savings on these things on this account. That account was preference shares, and then they defaulted on the preference shares as the banks went under. It was criminal, but they didn't get prosecuted for that. And I understand that the chain breaks. I also understand that they're fixing it. I also understand that that's a known. And one of the elements was it was concentrated in its ownership because of FTX. They are now having to liquidate it, and so you're getting rid of one of the issues. Solana itself, I think, is doing something very clever. In cryptocurrencies, what matters is narrative. Bitcoin narrative, digital gold, for example. Ethereum, the internet, the distributed internet for Web3. So where do these other chains fit in? Well, Solana has and is building a narrative which is it's the consumer chain. And yes, there's some others doing that. Flow, I think, is another example, much smaller. But the consumer internet, these are the people who've done the deal with Meta, doing deals with Google. They've got stores, they've got clothing lines, they have a consumer feel to it. And I believe consumer adoption, not at owning cryptocurrencies, as we've seen the fashion brands, we've seen Ticketmaster, we've seen so many people. And I think this is a really, really important thing. And I think Solana has a bloody good chance. And Solana reminds me of Ethereum back in 2018 when it was down 97% and nobody cared. And that was a great bloody opportunity. So I actually really like Solana. I also like Matic, Polygon, they're doing the same. They're really finding use cases at scale, and that's what matters for Metcalfe's law, and therefore that's what matters for price. So I'm interested in them. Let's wait and see. HUD, why don't you like Matic over Solana? I just kind of understand Solana better because it's a layer 1, not a layer 2. So with a layer 2, the value accrual to the chain is less because they charge lower fees. So I don't know how that works. Now, it doesn't mean I don't like it. I think it's great. But I don't know how the value accrual works in the same way. And therefore, it's less obvious to me than Solana. But it is a great project. I have nothing against it. I own some. Thoughts on Hedera? What about the recession and growth falling from retro music trip? Yes, growth is going to fall. And yes, we're probably going to recession. And yes, that is good for crypto markets because yes, that means interest rates aren't going to rise as much and even fall, and liquidity comes in to bolster the economy eventually. So I think the markets are forward looking and therefore growth is a net positive. Falling growth is a net positive. Tosa, what are your thoughts on ADA Cardano? This question comes up as many times as the XRP question comes up. I don't care for it much. I don't think there is as many use cases, broad use cases that I'm seeing on other chains. And if they manage to do that, then I'm interested. But right now, I just don't see that. So I think it's more of a narrative-driven retail token than it is a serious ecosystem like Solana. And again, I'll happily change my mind. I don't have anything against it. I just don't think that. Jackie Cornell, thoughts on Nexo? I've interviewed them. Sound like they got good risk management, but I'm not a yield guy, so it's not something for me. And I will say that Tezos has some great elements about it, and the fact it's dealt with on a legal structure, I think, is an advantage. But at a basic level, I hear a lot of people love the Tezos NFT market because it feels a bit more punk and a bit more wild and a bit freer, and I think that's interesting. So I've nothing wrong to say about Tezos. I don't own any interesting project. Generally, wait and see. They haven't got mass adoption yet. So again, doesn't fit my Metcalfe's law. Zane Tan, living the Web3 life. Hey Raoul, thanks for this live show. What do you think retail investors should do to stay in the long-term game of crypto without sacrificing mental health? Okay, that's a bloody good question. And don't look at your P&L. And buy the sell-offs. I actually distance myself. I've got hourly charts on the bloody screen. I don't trade hourly. I haven't traded crypto for ages. I just buy it, store it, and occasionally I make an asset allocation switch. I'll switch out of one thing and buy some Matic, for example. And then I'll just sit for months at end without doing anything. And what you need to do is just don't open your ledger and look at your P&L. Be involved in the drama of the markets. Don't be involved in the drama of your P&L. If your time horizon is 10 years,